I missed reorg once and I ended up president, so lucky.
I'll teach you.
Yeah, haven't missed one since.
Some Tim Becker roll in, so we're just going to wait 1 minute for him to get in here. Apologize ahead of time. My voice is finally starting to come back, but it's not 100%. So better than it was the other day. Please welcome Tim Becker.
Just wanted to tell you good luck. We're all good.
Oh, hey, buddy. Good.
A little hectic.
I looked at my email and I was like, okay.
All right. Call me to order with roll call.
Moon,
Here.
Hyde, Bilte,
Here.
Dietrich,
Here.
Becker, Renz,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Coomer,
Here.
Bauer,
Here.
Mayor.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The council will receive information on non-agenda topics brought before the council by members of the public. The council will not discuss these topics and will not take action on any of them at this meeting. Is there anyone who's on the agenda wishes to be heard? We'll go to consent agenda. One motion approves all consent items. Item 1, approve meeting minutes from February 9th, 2026, common council meeting. And number 2, approve meeting minutes from February 9th, 2026, common council and Reedsburg Utility Commission joint meeting. Any additions or corrections to that, or I'll take a motion if one's in order. Motion by Dietrich.
Second.
Seconded by Becker. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mayor proclamations and presentations. We have one presentation for the evening from Tom Burkhalter, School District of Reedsburg Superintendent, regarding the April 7th operational referendum. Tom, the floor is yours.
Right here?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Gary's gonna hand some papers out here, and it's just a quick fact sheet on the referendum, and so we'll go ahead and go from there. Is there a clicker or?
I'll get it if you.
You'll get it? Okay, that's great. All right. So we'll go ahead and get started. I am Tom Burkhalter. I'm the new district administrator for the School District of Reedsburg. This is my first year here, and the previous 5 years I spent as the district administrator in Viroqua. And so we're going to talk through a little bit about what this is and what this isn't, what you're going to see on the ballot in April 7th, and then talk a little bit about the history of how in the heck did we get here. And so there you go. You can click through that. This is a little bit of a longer presentation, so we're just going to skip through a couple of the slides because we wanted to make sure we had all the information. So go ahead and click. Yep, go ahead. So didn't we just do this is the first question we get a lot. And so, yes, we did. And in 2024, in November, there was an operational and a facility referendum question on the ballot at that point in time. And the facility referendum to renovate the library space and add and renovate onto the tech ed spaces at the high school was approved. And an operational referendum for $4 million was not supported by the community. And so, yes, we just did this. And no, it's not Groundhog Day. But we are going through and we'll be asking for an operational referendum for 2.5. Now, the obvious question is, how in the world do we go from 4 million in 2024, just a year and a half ago, to a $2.5 million referendum? And it's really a threefold answer. One is that we cut $1 million out of our budget, and the board and my predecessor made some really, really tough decisions in order to cut $1 million out of a budget. On top of that, we had a special ed reimbursement rate that went up, not as high as they promised us it would go up, but went up a little bit, which helped with that budget number. And then the third is that our open enrollment out was much lower than it has been and what we were expecting for this year, which was about a $350,000 actual savings to the district. And so those were the three things that coupled together moved our referendum from $4 million a year and a half ago to $2.5 million today. So I think it's really important to talk through a couple of things. Click one more. The system is broken. And I know that some of you have heard me talk about this already. I'm very, very passionate about this. The system's broken. And broken beyond what anyone would typically believe. And so we're going to talk through a little bit about that today, but it's outdated, definitely is not equitable. There's been a lack of state aid, which I hope they're going to solve here for at least the short term, a little bit for this year. And then you all feel it just like we feel it with rising costs due to inflation. So I think the best way and easiest way for me to explain how this works is through a water bottle. And so you see that on your sheet, but this is also a visual up here. So a little bit of a history lesson. Now, if you are a public school finance expert, I do not mean to offend you because I will promise you that before I was a teacher, I wasn't. When I was a teacher, I wasn't. When I was a principal, I was not. And right now, I'm kind of starting to figure it out. And so I want to share with you a little bit about how this actually works, dispel some rumors or some myths that just aren't true and can't be true. And we'll talk through why over 400 districts in the state of Wisconsin have had to go to operating referendum. Just for reference, there's 421 districts total in the state of Wisconsin. So a vast majority of districts have had to do this. And so in 1992, the way that school districts and school boards ran was it was total local control. So that meant whatever it cost, the board could approve that budget, and if they wanted to spend more, they could spend more. If they wanted to be more fiscally conservative, they could be more fiscally conservative. If your constituents thought you were overspending, they voted out board members. That was the local control. And so what happened then was they put in something called a revenue limit in 1992 without telling any school districts that they were going to do that for the 1993-1994 school year. So they literally put a spending limit per student on every school district in the state of Wisconsin. So in 1992, if you were a district that was spending a lot of money, you had a building project, had new curriculum that you purchased, or gave a big bonus to everybody in 1992, you were locked into a much, much higher spending limit per student than districts that were not. So if you were being fiscally conservative and responsible in 1992, you were locked into a lower revenue limit or spending limit per student. Obviously, that created a system of winners and losers. I'll give you two guesses on where Reedsburg fell. In 1992, we were being conservative, and so we are still locked into that 1992 spending limit. Now it's been raised a few times, and we'll talk about that. But we are the tied for one of the lowest. There's a one district that spends the lowest number in the state, and then there's a bunch of us tied just above that, essentially, as far as the spending limit per student. And so when you're locked into that from the start and locked into something from quite a few years ago, it really leads to long-term changes or long-term issues. So from 1993-94 to 2009, while it was unfair and it definitely was not equitable, at least we could pay the bills. And we could pay the bills at that time because every year your bottle would get a little bit bigger. And that was due to based on the rate of inflation. So if inflation was 2%, you could spend 2% more per student. If it was 4%, you could spend 4% more per student. And what it didn't solve was that gap, because if you had a larger number in 1992, you also got that gap widened over time, and that obviously created even more issues. But in 2009, they did away with inflationary increases, and including this year, I believe it's gone up a total of 4 times arbitrarily and almost never at the rate of inflation. And so that is a piece where your bottle has not gotten bigger per student, except for, again, 4 random times. Just this last time was not even at the rate of the previous year's inflation to make up for that 1 year. And so the other thing I like to use the bottle for is just our taxes. So we've got this revenue limit per student. We've got a spending limit per student. Let's say that where the water line is what the state puts in. The rest of the bottle, we have to make up with local taxes. And it's at the whim of whatever the state wants to put in. And so if the state wants to put in more, like happened 4 or 5 years ago, I think, Deb, when they put in $768 million. Well, they didn't raise our spending limit. We still couldn't spend any more per student, but the state put in a much larger percentage of the actual limit than what it was the local taxes were putting in. This last year, they did put in $0 into that equation. And so as costs continue to rise, we got less from the state by about 6%. And so that water line dropped, which means our local tax base has to pick it up. We are also at the low spend. We literally legally cannot spend $1 less or $1 more. We are at the low revenue ceiling as well. So this is a piece where we are really, really in a bind. And since 2009, the only lever that we've pulled, you get 2 levers that you can pull. It's to cut or it's to go to operational referendum. And since 2009, we have only used the cutting or reducing our expenses. Go ahead. So if that number from 2009 would have continued through today, that's just to maintain the level of resources, staffing. That's not to get any of us ahead, to close any gaps, to increase wages more than the rate of inflation. That's the minimum. If we would have received what we were supposed to from that 2009 to now, that would be over $2,800 per student, or over $7.3 million in this budget alone. So we're asking for 2.5 versus the 7.3 that would have just kept up with those expenses. So continue. Yep, you can click through. Yep, keep going. So you can look on this. This is really tiny right here, but you can look at how we stack up as per student funding. You can look at that state average. You can look at where we are. We have districts in the state, well, in our conference, that are spending almost $5,000 more than what we're spending per kid. We also have districts in the state of Wisconsin that will go over $30,000 per student next year. And that gap is just continuing to widen. So obviously we've cut some costs. Yeah, you can go back one, please. Right, that's fine right there. The district has cut over $1 million this last year, but it's cut a ton over the past 5 years, and some very painful decisions. And so, including closing multiple schools, especially our rural schools, consolidating buildings, bringing students into town. And while that does have a cost reduction, it also has an impact, and we know that. And that's something the board has made that decision, but has not taken it lightly. I think this is a big question. Why can't the district just live within its means? And so, again, revenue is capped. How much money we can bring in and how much we can spend is literally capped. And it increases automatically when you have salaries, benefits, utilities, insurance. Not sure if you guys have gone for your insurance renewals recently. They're not cheap, and neither are utilities. The vast majority of our budget is fixed, and living within our means cutting more staff and programming. That's all that means. We don't have the opportunity to overspend. That's not legal for us to overspend. So we are asking for $2.5 million on this ballot in non-recurring, and so that means it's got a sunset. And so ours is for 4 years, and so after that 4 years, this would drop off. And we would have to make decisions at that point. Maybe the state has it figured out then and they fixed the system and made it more equitable. Or we will have to reevaluate at that point in time if we need to come back. And so I think the criticism to this is this feels like a Band-Aid solution. And I think the short answer is, yeah, it is. We don't get to decide what the state does with their budget. We also don't get to decide how it's distributed. but we have to pay our people. We have to continue to pay our bills. We don't have that option. And so this is really just to maintain what we have and hopefully tackle some deferred maintenance projects that the mayor knows all too well have been kicked down the road because we don't have the funds for them. Yeah. I'm going to drink some state aid there. Anyway, financial.
Going to replace it.
There, that's where all it goes. All right, there. So, how will these funds be used? Pretty simply. So, we're going to talk about balancing our budget. So, that includes deficits that increase every year of the 4 years. So that eats into that 2.5 million. We're going to talk about maintaining our academic programming. We're going to talk about maintaining some of our facilities, especially those pieces that we've kicked down the road. And we're going to talk about some minor safety improvements, so including some newer buses. If you've driven past our bus lot, you can tell that we have an aging fleet, and we've really done the best that we can to prolong the life of those buses. I'm very proud of what our maintenance and the bus garage crew does in order to maintain those buses. And then also those other facility improvements would be upgrading some of the cameras throughout the district. We won't be able to afford a full overhaul with that dollar amount. And so, so what is this going to cost me? And I think this is where people get confused a little bit. So there's a $0 there, but it underneath is really important to understand, and that's tax rate impact. I will never tell anyone, as the superintendent for the school district of Reedsburg, that your taxes will not go up. I control very little of that. The board controls very little of that. What I can tell you is whether or not this question on the ballot in April is supported or not by this community, your taxes will be the exact same as far as the school portion for next year. And how that's possible is by looking at either your sheet or at the screen above. So the dark blue line signifies our operational costs right now and what we spend. Basic educating kids, utilities, busing, everything is within that blue line. The dark blue line. The gray line is our minimum debt payments on the referendum projects that have been approved by our community. So those are our minimum payments. The light blue line is what we're paying off as far as our debt early in something called defeasance. And so with that, just this year alone, we are going to save over $770,000 in interest payments that we're not going to give to our lenders because we have that ability to pay that off early. There's a thin red line, which is our community service fund. That's right at the top. And that is, we hardly use it. Deb, primarily middle school sports. What are we doing? Oh, SROs. Yep. But what is that total fund? That fund is at, how much do we spend out of the community service fund every year? $180,000 total of our total budget. And so I think that, again, so what we're going to be doing is taking less money and putting that towards our debt and to pay it down early. And we're going to move that to the green, which is to add to our operating funds. So it is moving money that we are already budgeted and will be spending, but we're moving it so that we can use it for kids. And that's through staffing, keeping buildings warm and safe and dry. Yeah. Some of you have been paying attention. All right. So again, I think that that's really important to understand why or how we're able to say it will have a $0 impact on your tax rates. And so the board has been very clear. They want to maintain a stable $7 mill rate. And that's what they've done for the last 3 or 4 years and what we're looking at continuing. Go back a little bit. Right there. So why in the world are we paying off all this debt early? So that's one of the very few things that you can do above that spending limit. So you have your spending limit that we can spend per child, and then you have debt that's issued for the capital referendums for building projects, and then we can spend above that line for paying off debt early. I totally understand the piece of why in the world would the board just not lower that mill rate? Why would they not just say, hey, we're going to give everybody a tax break, and we're going to go down to 650 next year, and everybody will be happy with us, and we'll sing Kumbaya. That's how it would go, right, Gary? Yeah. I would love to. I'd love to be the superintendent that said, man, I led this, reduction in taxes. Would love to do that. The problem is, if we would spend less on our defeasance, it appears that we actually are cheaper to run, and we lose state aid the following year. So we lost 6% this year, and we maintained a $7 mill rate. So again, 6% of funds, because they added $0, went to other districts that on paper were more expensive to run. I don't agree with this. I think it's broken, and I think it absolutely forces districts to maintain debt in order to do anything. And it absolutely does. Because if we would lower that, the very next year, the state would pick up less of this water bottle, which means our local taxpayers have to pick up more. And that means your taxes will go up if we do not maintain that mill rate. And I don't know, I know that's a really hard concept to understand, that, hey, if we drop your mill rate and give you a tax break this year, it's going to hurt you in the long run. That's literally how the game is designed. It's rigged so that we stay in debt. I don't like that. I don't want to play that game, but that's what we have to do in order to maintain that funding. It's broken. I don't know if you've heard me say that before. So how do we compare with our tax rate? So we're at $7. You can see the Sauk County average for schools is $7.08. The state average is $7.09, and the Badger Conference is higher at $7.82. So we are well in line with the rest of the state, or well within line with the rest of the county. Yep. So if this is not supported by our community, we've got really only one lever to pull. We will have to continue to delay projects. That's a given. But with 80% of our budget going to staffing, with only 20% to spend on maintaining our buildings, utilities, gas or diesel for our buses, transportation, we don't have anything else we can cut. And we have been lowering our staffing levels through attrition for years, but we don't have anything left. So it would have to lead to additional staffing reductions. We don't have any other lever. I think this is an important one. How do vouchers affect our district? So on your tax line, where it says the school district of Reedsburg, $1 million of that local tax levy is not going to the school district of Reedsburg. How that works is we get an invoice from the state of Wisconsin, and that says, they say, this is what you can tax your local community, and this is what that invoice is that you have to pay once those taxes are collected. So we are the vehicle to move and move that money down to DPI. And so $1 million of that levy is not going to our district. I think, again, I'll tell you how I really feel later. I think that's wrong. I think that's deceitful, and I think it's intentional. So how does that compare? So with what goes to which students? So for every student in the school district of Reedsburg Public School, our local taxpayers are paying about $6,800. For every student that is a Reedsburg School District resident that is going to a private school and receiving a voucher, it costs our local taxpayers $11,100. So this notion that, hey, this is a great deal, or that this is I don't understand it. But it's, again, I'll tell you how I really feel later. I don't think that this is appropriate. And again, to say on that tax line, that all of that money is coming to your local school, public school district, is just not true. Go ahead and move forward. We won't show the video right now. I'd like to. What's going on with web? I think this is one that happens to come up a lot, and I think with good reason. So web needs to be replaced. I don't think there's any way around that. I really love remodeling and restoring old schools and love that idea. So we had another local ish school that a few years ago was looking at a new high school. It was going to cost them $110 million to build a new high school, or $55 million to renovate and bring up to today's standards their current high school. And I had the conversation with that superintendent that means that building has $55 million worth of integrity. And you'd be throwing that away if you walk away from that building. That is not the situation that we find ourselves in with Webb. And so we've done some preliminary numbers for a new middle school. A new 3-grade middle school is going to run today about $125 million. That building, as it sits, to get the water out from underneath all of the tunnels and to make it warm, safe, and dry for the foreseeable future would be about $106 million. And with no guarantee that if and when it floods again in Reedsburg, that we would not be back in the exact same situation that we are in right now. So where it is built is prohibiting us from actually going in and remodeling that building. Putting more money into it right now is irresponsible, and we will be coming to the community at some point asking for solutions to that problem. We have to make sure, if you haven't been following the news, we had two major water line breaks a couple of weeks ago. We were out of school for the following week while we were remediating that issue, and then went back through, and we're having some electrical pieces now. It's been really fun, and the mayor can attest to some of those problems. But
Definitely.
go ahead. You can scroll through, I think. There we go. So please remember to vote on April 7th, and we really need to make sure that everybody is informed and has all the information you need to make an informed decision. Any questions?
Any questions for Tom? John?
I appreciate your presentation, and you're singing to the choir when it comes to shared revenues and what have you.
Yeah.
And it was actually brought up in church that you had spoken to the Ministerial Association. So I appreciate also that you're not just saying, here you are, voters. You are. It appears you're networking. You've reached out to the clergy in our community. Are there any other groups, industrial, retail sector?
Yeah. Yep. So I just spoke and kind of dominated the economic development meeting. Was that last week? Holy smokes, Friday. Also meeting with multiple civic groups throughout town, including the Lions Club, and then we'll be meeting with multiple townships all throughout the district.
What's your reception been?
It's been overwhelmingly positive when we're able to explain how we got here. I think that's, again, a very common misconception. The thought that districts are just spending at will, or even that, hey, your property taxes went up 9 or 10% this year. That means the school district has 9 or 10% more to spend is just a flat out lie. It's just not how it works. And so we don't get that extra money to spend on anything. And it's unfortunate because I wish we did. If I'm going to tax my local community, I really wish we could spend that on kids. But we can't.
Well, if this helps out at all, I do recall a good friend of mine who used to be my neighbor when I lived in the 4th District had shared with me a quote by a school board president who was there back in the late 60s, early 70s, who reassured the school board about the voters in the Reedsburg School District. And he said, they're a tough sell, they're a hard sell, but they're fair. You just give it to them straight, and you should have no problems.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Any other questions?
Anyone else?
Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Tom. Have a good night. Thanks. See you. Thanks, Deb. Thanks, Gary. All right, we'll go to recommendations from boards, committees, and commissions. Item 1 is recommendation from the Plan Commission, public hearing, ordinance number 1981-26, amending section 402-3 sub F of the nuisance ordinance relating to enforcement process of grass and weed violations. Brian, how are you tonight?
Good, thank you, Mayor. So this amendment really is about updating it, some language to it. But the main thing is to offer give the option of put a door hanger on the property, since similar as we do with sidewalks in the wintertime. So rather than waiting 10 days and a couple days for mail, and then a couple of days or more for the contractor to get there, this would shorten the period down, especially in the springtime when you have to send that first notice out. So, and this has been approved by the Plan Commission as well.
Any questions for Brian before we take public hearing? All right, thank you. I'll now take public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of ordinance 1981-26? Anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of ordinance 1981-26? Final call. Anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of ordinance 1981-26? Hearing no one, will close the public hearing. Take it back to council. Discussion, comments.
Move to approve.
Motion by Phil to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Schulte. Anything further? Jake, roll call whenever you're ready.
Moon.
Aye.
Schulte.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Becker. Franz.
Aye.
Peterson. Coomer. Bauer.
Aye.
All right. Thank you much. Next, recommendation from Public Works. Public hearing for ordinance 1982-26, amending chapter 518, solid waste to conform with Wisconsin Department of Natural Resource requirement. Steve. Max.
Sure. Yeah, the DNR updated some requirements for their solid waste and recycling. So we just changed that to conform with the DNR requirements. And the only other addition or change was to increase the length of a contract for services. So in the ordinance, it was 3 years. It's customary that agreement is usually 5 years. So we're just amending that to go with what's custom in terms of waste haulers. And just for your information, the agreement that we have now with the Republic is expiring at the end of this year.
All right. Any questions before I take public hearing? Anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of ordinance 1982-26? Anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of ordinance 1982-26? Final call. Anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of ordinance 1982-26? Hearing no one, will take it back to the council. Questions, comments, or I'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by Becker, seconded by Dietrich. Anything further? Jake, roll call whenever you're ready.
Moon.
Aye.
Schulte.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Becker. Franz. Peterson.
Aye.
Coomer. Bauer.
Aye.
All right, and recommendation from Parks and Recreation Committee, public hearing for ordinance 1983-26, amending section 615-9, parking limits to permit the Parks and Recreation Committee to restrict parking in city-owned lots. Matt, how you doing tonight?
Good. How you doing, Mayor?
Good.
Basically, it just described what we would like to do, give the Parks and Recreation Committee the authority to restrict parking in parks and parking lots and with the use of signage. So it possibly wouldn't be a uniform restriction, but it would be for each individual park. We would assess the needs and act accordingly.
Any questions for Matt? Thanks a bunch, Matt. I'll now take public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of ordinance 1983-26? Anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of ordinance 1983-26? Final call. Anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of ordinance 1983-26? Hearing no one, I'll take it back to the council. Discussion, or I'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by Peterson,
I'll second.
seconded by Bauer. Anything further? Jake, whenever you're ready.
Moon.
Aye.
Schulte.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Becker. Franz.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Coomer. Bauer.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see, number 7 is recommendation from the Plan Commission, first reading and set public hearing for March 23rd, 2026 for ordinance 1984-26, amending section 674-3, increasing the maximum number of parcels created by a certified survey map to 10 parcels. Brian.
So under the current ordinance and state law, the city's allowed to divide 4 properties in 5 years with a CSM. Anything more than that, then you have to do a plat, which normally that works, but doesn't work in the case of the business park on the east side and also the new Land's End property, because it's going to be more than 4 lots, and we can't do a plat because we don't know how big lots are going to be. Each business has its own, its own need, how big a building they need, how much parking they need, and so on. So talking with Max and the Plan Commission, we decided on 10 as a round number, because under state law, it also allows you to exceed 4 if it's a commercial, multifamily, or mixed-use development. So this would allow us to divide the lots as they come for those 2 spots or any other spot that comes up in the future, rather than doing a plat.
Questions for Brian? All right, thanks, Brian. Council, any questions, comments, concerns, or I'll take a motion to set public hearing.
Move to set public hearing.
Motion by Dietrich,
Second.
seconded by Schulte. Anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with a public hearing on March 23rd. Number 8, recommendations from the Plan Commission, first reading and set public hearing. March 23rd, 2026, ordinance 1985-26, amending the junk and junk vehicles ordinance. Brian.
All right, it's kind of like the grass ordinance. We're just doing some updates to it, updating language to it. The big changes here are instead of using the ordinance committee for review, we would use the Plan Commission since they meet on a regular basis, normally a monthly basis, and also they have experience dealing with private property matters. We would also add some language for right-of-way junk, meaning that if a property owner puts a couch or mattress, whatever, on the tree bank, normally I would call Peterson's, have them pick it up. With the new waste hauler, they don't do that. You have to buy the sticker first. So this would just be some language here to allow us to do that and then bill the property owner as need be. So this also was approved by the Plan Commission.
Any questions for Brian? Thanks a bunch, Brian. You're popular tonight. All right, council, any questions, comments, concerns, or I'll take a motion if one's in order to set public hearing.
We'll set the public hearing.
Motion by Becker,
Second.
seconded by Dietrich. Anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll have that public hearing on March 23rd as well. Number 9, recommendation from Plan Commission, approve or deny resolution 4588-26, approving certified survey map for parcels 030-0244-20000 on Old Ironton Road. Brian.
So this is in the town of Reedsburg, and the property owner just wants to divide off the house from the farmland, which has been fairly common in the past few years. Number of people have done that. So the town and the Plan Commission recommend approval of this CSM.
You said the town approved it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Questions on this one? Comments, or I'll take a motion if one's in order.
Move to approve.
Motion by Peterson,
I'll second.
seconded by Bauer. Anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 10 also from the Plan Commission, a recommendation to approve or deny resolution 4589-26, approving certified survey map for parcels 276-1000-00000 and 276-1001-00000 on South Walnut Street.
All right, so over on the west side of South Walnut there, you've got about 5 businesses, and actually there's only 2 tax parcels for that whole stretch. So this CSM would just rearrange it a bit into 4 tax parcels. So lot 2 would have 2 businesses on it, and then the other ones, lots 1, 3, and 4 would each have a single business on it. And this was also approved by the Plan Commission.
Questions for Brian? All right, council discussion, comments. I'll take a motion if one's in order.
Move to approve.
Motion by Becker.
I'll second.
Second by Bauer. Anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And one more time, Brian. Number 11, recommendation from Plan Commissions, approve or deny resolution 4590-26, approving certified survey map for parcels 276-2760-00000 and 276-2759-00000 on Russell Court.
So these are the last two these were the last two vacant lots in Russell Court. And the owners just wanted to do a 0 lot line duplex, which would allow them to sell them separately. And this also was recommended approval by the Plan Commission.
Questions for Brian on this? Thanks, Brian. You can sit down now. Council discussion, comments, or I'll take a motion.
To approve.
Motion by Schulte,
I'll second.
seconded by Bauer. Anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, commission, committee, board, and staff reports, historic preservation.
We had not met since our last meeting. However, there is a bit of sad news that maybe needs to be shared with the council and the general public. Monica Legal, who was a longtime member, I think a founding member of the commission, recently passed away. And so we will be sadly missing her input towards our community. She's been a real advocate for history within the city of Reedsburg for a very long time and very passionate about that. And the commission will definitely be needing to fill a large hole that has been developed because of this.
Couldn't agree with you more. I was going to say a few words, but you took him right there. She definitely is going to be a pillar for history in Reedsburg for sure.
Yep.
She's actually, fun fact, one of the first people to tell me I should run for mayor way back in the day. Library board. Oh, I missed the plan commission. Plan commission, you've pretty much seen everything we talked about at the last plan commission. It was a pretty in-depth meeting, but nothing super major, just a lot of CSMs. Library board. No signing. Public Works.
Public Works met last week, and we had the bids that Gerke got for the Vine and South Walnut Street sewer and water project. We had a discussion about the alternate site potential for the brush area, and Steve gave us an update on the treatment plant.
Things seem to be moving along and on time from what Steve's saying.
Yeah.
All right, zoning board. CDA.
We had one application for the incubator program, the Castle. So we'll have some batting cages and turf workout places in downtown Reedsburg. So
Which is absolutely cool.
in a building that would have been vacant otherwise, or has been vacant. So
And a lot of history in that building too. Any other committee, commission, staff member that have anything you want to report? Oh, you know what? I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, that's okay.
Missy, tell us about the utility commission.
We met on February 16th. As a big meeting. We're accepting Lightspeed customer service specialist applications still. The electric crew installed hot tag lines at the substations, and they're just completed their annual tree trimming. Let's see, the water department is performing water meter testing and cross connection inspections. The ATC is removing the structures out down at the old web substation. I know a lot of people have been interested in that.
Looking nice down there.
Yeah, they're cleaning it up nice. And then we'll go in and start removing our stuff and then the fencing once that's done. So, and then all the fiber projects are moving forward and our take rates on those have been really good. So.
Oh, they're waiting for the warmer weather to get here. All right. Office of the Mayor, I'm just going to go on the horseshoe. Aaron Bauer,
Nothing tonight.
Jake Coomer, Phil Peterson,
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Missy Friends,
Thank you.
Tim Becker,
Nothing for me, sir.
Max Buckner,
Nothing for me.
Jake from City Hall, John Dietrich,
Nothing, Your Honor.
Jason Schulte, Dave Boone.
Tonight, Your Honor.
I think actually the highlight of the day that I seen today is coming from Brian's office that the building permit was pulled for the theater. So big things coming soon.
Saw a utility vehicle there this afternoon.
Big things coming soon. Hey, peanut gallery, keep it down, peanut gallery.
Groundbreaking for that gonna happen. I'm just curious.
Tell you what, this fall, you and I are going to the movies. December of 2018, Tim, right? December of 2018 was the first email correspondence. Anyways, it's going to happen though. It's going to be moving along. So good things come to those who wait. Obviously, we took a long time to wait on this one, but it's going to happen. I'm excited too. Can't wait. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Missy,
Second.
seconded by Dietrich. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed? I didn't think so. Motion